morning to you. Good morning to you.
There's low visibility reported
There's
ahead.
low visibility reported ahead.
No day. What the? Man, shut your. Man, every time I'm in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. Hey man, back up. Back up. You're leaking oil. Summer heat. Summer heat. Summer traveling with your dog. Experiences that I've had. Tragedies that I've heard about. Trials and tribulations. So, actually kind of had me thinking about it. Is, I was on the doing a little workout at the rest stop, and my man C-Dot mentioned about the whole working out in the heat and the humidity, right? And so, as far as my program goes with my dog, is summertime we do more water workouts. I don't do very much land running type of workouts because of the elevation, because of the heat. And what I've experienced with my dog, being a person that's always kept him very athletic, right? So me having the experience of running him, doing the 12-mile endurance, doing this, that, and the other, RC fitness, what I learned early on is anything over 70 degrees, for him, he wouldn't last long. Once that temperature started getting up there, he's out of there. He's gonna find the nearest tree. Like, he'll still, because of the prey drive, he'll still want to get out there and chase the shit. But he'll literally chase that motherfucker and then go run straight for a tree and dip off and go sit underneath the tree and try and cool off. And it takes them a long time to cool off, which is amazing because you would think that these dogs are short hair, that they would do well in the heat. But in my experience, what I've experienced with him is that he actually does better when it's like fucking -40. And when it's super cold, he's out there. He can run all day, run all night. 70 degrees and above, that motherfucker is done after about 15 minutes or so. He's done. That's it. He's ready to hit a tree. He's ready to find some fucking shade. He's ready to cool it down. And so understanding that, I just changed the workout format and said, all right, well, cool. So I taught him to be active in the water early on. And we used to go to some property that had a little pond, and the people that I knew on this property had some Labradors, so he had to learn to get that ball fast, or he wasn't getting it at all. So I think this kind of helped him with this whole swimming fast and launching off the side to get that ball, but maybe not. But anyways, there were some labs, and the Labradors did really well with obviously jumping off the side and going to get the ball. And in order for him to fucking keep up, he had to really get after it. So that kind of, I think, helped make him run. As far as in the water, he really runs to go get it. You know what I'm saying? Because he feels like somebody else is going to get the ball type shit. So that kind of propelled that. And I started that early on. I wanted him to be really proficient in the water workout, just in water, period. So I always kept him involved in the water. I wouldn't have a problem with keeping them active, to keep them in shape summer and winter time. Without that adjustment, then you're limited in the summertime of what you can do, basic walks and shit like that, which is still good, but it's not getting them the kind of workout that I like for them to have, right? So making those adjustments when you're dealing with the heat, because these dogs overheating, it happens more often than not. And then until you actually put your dog in situations where you see how they respond to certain things, you won't really know. So it's kind of hard. Some people talk, oh, my dog, no, you don't know because you haven't done it. And yeah, I'm not trying to kill my dog, I'm trying to put him in a position where things can go bad. And these dogs can overheat very quickly, you know what I'm saying? So, keeping that in mind when you're doing the activity is very important. Another thing is people really talk about is, especially in high heat, high humidity, right? If the dog doesn't have airflow, fans, or somewhere to AC or somewhere to circulate that air, a dog panting is only just sucking in hot ass air, right? So in a high heat, high humidity, a dog panting is sucking in hot ass air. It can't cool itself off. It needs to have airflow that's flowing over the dog. That's in the kennel. Either way it goes, somehow or another, you have to be able to cool the dog down, or have him help the dog with the ability to cool down. If not, when I was down in Florida and I was talking to my man, I forgot his name now, it slips my mind. But anyways, and he was telling me about how many dogs, maybe some of his, other people's dogs who died just from being in the kennel, and I didn't understand this, and he was explaining this shit to me, and so I was like, damn, I never really thought about shit like that, because I don't really deal with humidity. I'm in Colorado, and I don't have a dog in a kennel. So those individuals who decide, oh, I'm gonna buy all these dogs, and you don't have proper facilities, especially in the South or in any area, you don't have proper facilities, you're not meeting proper codes, you're just buying fucking dogs and putting them in shit. Don't think about, okay, well, what about the heat problem? Okay, or if I'm in an area where it's cold, well, what about the cold problem? These are the things you have to think about and have it already problem solved prior to getting yourself in a situation where now you have all these dogs because you're a good person, or you're a halfway cute chick, and every breeder wants to dump some dogs on your dumb ass because you asked, right? All these male breeders, they'll dump a dog on a bitch and she's halfway cute. It don't matter what the... This bitch could be working at goddamn a gas station making $9 an hour. She's halfway cute. Some male ass breeders are gonna dump dogs on the bitch. Guarantee. All she gotta do is halfway give the motherfucker some play, and he's dumping dogs. Oh yeah, I got a dog for you. Oh fuck yeah, don't even worry about it. Yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, so you have to have proper heating and proper cooling. If you don't have that, then don't get it. Putting a whole bunch of dogs in fucking crates in a goddamn garage, and you live in a hot environment, is dumb as fuck. The garage heats up too, right? You think it's just, people don't think about these things. I think sometimes when they go out and buy a bunch of dogs, right? And also you got to think about too is, you have to have a backup plan for the backup plan, right? Even if you have a garage and you have an AC unit on there, well, that's cool. But what happens when if there's a power outage? Now what? Now you got to figure that problem out. So do you have a backup generator to run the AC unit just in case my power goes out? Is it set to automatically kick on if you're working all day? What if you at work all day and your power goes out? How are you notified that the heating in the area that the dogs are at is going above a certain threshold? These are the things I think a person should think about when you're buying dogs. Because not everybody has outdoor kennels and this, that, and the other. Some of y'all motherfuckers, I'm not gonna say no names, but some of you motherfuckers is keeping dogs in the garage in these crates or in the basement. The basement's cool. The basement always maintains pretty much the same temperature, but outside garages can heat the fuck up just like any other outside place, especially if there's no tree coverage, so on and so forth. So you have to have a backup plan for the AC if you have dogs that are locked in areas where you might have an AC type of situation that's running off the house power. But what if the house power goes out? You're at work. There's nobody to fucking move these dogs and figure the dog situation out. So you need to have a backup type of generator. I mean, these are the things I would think a person should think about. You have to have a backup plan for the backup plan, just so you don't come home to, a whole bunch of dead ass dogs because you didn't have a backup plan. Okay. Same thing goes for that's kennels, shit like that. You gotta have an air system, fan system. You gotta have something blowing on these motherfucking dogs. They have to be able to escape the heat, and you have to be able to circulate. They need to have some wind, some air type shit circulating or something where they can get out of the heat and make sure the water's popping and all that good stuff. Another thing people don't talk about too is, at these dog shows, a number of dogs that died at dog shows due to heat, due to people not having proper cooling. What if that goes bad? What if something happens there where that doesn't work, where the AC stops working or whatever stops working? Then your dog is in that car and it's going to heat up super fast. Cars heat up super fast. I know they talk about it all the time, but as a person who slept in a vehicle all over the United States, from the south to the north to the east to the west, vehicles heat up super fast. Black vehicles really heat up super fast. And when you think it's like, oh, it's 60-something degrees outside. Fuck what it is outside. Inside that vehicle, it's hot as fuck. Okay? Once again, I've slept in a vehicle, my black Navigator. There's been times when it would be like, it's 60, 65 outside. Inside that motherfucker, it's hot as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So, and that shit'll wake you the fuck up. And that's why a lot of times when there are times where I could have slept in the house, I always just slept inside the van with the dog for obvious reasons. Not obvious reasons, but for reasons being that if it's hot inside there and I'm in there, I'm gonna wake up because that heat will wake your motherfucking ass up. Like, whoa, you in there sweating like a runaway slave. That heat will wake your motherfucking ass up, and you'll figure it out how to cool the situation, turn the car on, or I had other devices, but obviously if you're in the vehicle, you can just turn it on and get the AC running. But vehicles heat up very fast. When it comes to keeping your vehicle cool, a couple things you got to make sure. Like one of my vehicles is a Prius, which obviously has a hybrid system, and it doesn't cut off. I leave the keys in the fucking car because I know anybody will get in that motherfucker. They get in, it's gonna be a problem. So I leave the keys on, but you got to make sure you cover the front. A couple of things you got to do in the vehicle. For one, you got to try to find shade. You got to try to find shade. If you can't find shade, then you need to try and figure out which way the sun is. Figure out where the sun is at, and then wherever your dog is at, you want to face the front of it to where the sun is beating down on the front, and then you have the reflective, you have the thing, the shade in the front of your glass. Hopefully you have the silver one, which kind of reflects the heat off of it, so the sun's bouncing off of that, and then you got the AC blowing back on the dog. Prius is actually one of the best vehicles to have when it comes to that, because, like I said, the hybrid system, it doesn't cut off, right? Because the keys are obviously in there. It'll just stay on, and it just cycles, right? So it'll keep the temperature, whatever the fuck you set it at, and you don't burn a lot of gas because it's gonna run off the batteries, and then once the battery goes down, the engine cuts on, recharges the battery, and then the engine cuts off. So you can cycle like that for hours. There's people who boondock and who live in their vehicle who never turn the Prius off. You just never turn it off because you don't really have to, because you're not burning no gas like that. So that's one of the best things to travel in, is a Prius or something like that with a hybrid system, because the car would just cycle, and the car, you don't burn no gas really. So in my vehicle, my Toyota, actually, it'll cut off after an hour. So when I open up the door, it'll ask me, does he want to stay on, or do you want it to cut off in an hour? I say no. I leave it on. Turn the motherfucking. Obviously, I put my shit in the front window. I turn the temperature way down. It's a black vehicle, so I know it heats up, and I make sure I try to find shade. Can't find shade, I just turn the fucking the temperature all the way down to fucking lowest it can go, and just turn it up. It'd be cold as a motherfucker in here, but hey, I'd rather have him cold than him fucking heating up, because heating up, if somebody sees it, one, you gotta get a ticket, and two, you could possibly kill your dog. So a little chilly is better than fucking heating up. So I always try to do. It just depends also too where I'm at and the temperature that is outside. But if it's just like right now in Missouri, it's 66 degrees. If I was to stop, I got it on 68. Sorry, the cabin here, and I would just leave it at that, and he'd be straight. But the main thing is you gotta make sure, and just having the windows down, it just ain't enough sometimes. Once again, it depends on where you at and what you're doing. If you're worried about the gas, then you probably shouldn't have your dog in the car. Dogs in the car is very risky at all times. Cause it don't take but a minute for that motherfucking cabin to heat up and cook the fuck out of them. A number of breeders have lost dogs that cooked some dogs. They don't talk about it. So that's what I'm talking about. A lot of breeders, I shouldn't say a lot, because a lot don't do shit with their dogs, but a number of breeders who are active with their dogs have lost dogs in vehicles due to cooking them, right? Or have lost dogs in kennels because they cooked them. Nobody ever talks about it though. Nobody says, hey, I just lost, Smokey because I smoked his ass in the car, or I smoked his ass or her ass in the kennel because I had a poor setup. Or, I didn't have fans or whatever the fuck on the dogs. So, if you don't talk about it, nobody really addresses it because they feel like it's not an issue. But people in the South understand it's an issue. And they just lose the dog. They just fucking lose the dog. They're not really some people aren't trying to aren't really working to prevent it at all. They just say, fuck it, if it happens, it happens. But for us one dog owners who don't have, a whole bunch of dogs just to fucking waste off, which is fucked up, which is messed up, morally and ethically. Morally, I should say. But so, taking the heat situation seriously is very important. the whole, I'm just gonna run in the store. Also understand the direction of which way the direction of the sun is coming. And that way you position your car in a good direction. Obviously, the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So depending on the timing of the day, this is where you want to try and locate your vehicle so that the sun ain't beating on it. Once again, you got to have cooling devices, fans. Fans, AC units. You might ask, how can you get an AC unit? EcoFlow. EcoFlow has an AC unit for vehicles. I had 2 of them. I got enough ACs. I could turn the vehicle into a motherfucking ice box. One AC unit is kind of shit. It was the first one. But the second one, I set that bitch up. You talking about a good night's sleep. You talking about I could be in that cabin. It could be.
Continue on I-70 West for 158 miles.
It could be hot as fuck outside. That motherfucker can do his thing. Several places like Arizona, you gotta really think about what you're gonna do when you do it. Now that gets complicated because when it's 110, you definitely gotta find a shaded area. You gotta find a shaded area. You gotta put the thing in your front window. I have screens that you can buy on Amazon, so I cover up all the doors with these like mesh screens. So I can have all the windows down. This is why I don't run the AC unit. Internal AC. Damn, I load it down. I put all the screens in the windows, like over the windows, like these like nets that go over the window, keep the bugs out. I have all the windows down. And then in the middle of the Navigator, you know, obviously there's armrests. So I get one of those like they got those like industrial type of blowers, fans, and so I put that on his ass. So I got one blowing on him, it was like shooting back this way, and then I have another fan that I have like because on the right hand side there's refrigerators and there's shit like that. So on the refrigerator, I have another fan that's cross blowing, that's blowing air across them, and so he got direct air and air going across them. Plus, I got all the windows down, so that the heat's not building up in the cabin. The shit in the front window, and so I just try to blow his death in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? That's the objective, is you got to keep the air flowing and the windows down and in the shade. You always want to find, if possible, you want to find some shade. Traveling with a dog, traveling period, trees, shade, become your best friend. If you, any of y'all that's traveled across the country or done some traveling and road trips, the experienced motherfuckers, you know where they're at. They're gonna have a compass, because they're gonna know which direction the sun is coming. So if you plan on trying to sleep in, or you want to get a good morning's rest, you don't want to wake up with the sun, then you position yourself accordingly. If not, you're gonna be hot as fuck. Unless you have some serious power for fans and cooling. Also, they have other things called, they have these tents for your hatchback. You have an SUV, so you can have your dogs back there with fans blowing on them. You can have you can buy that tent, and you can have because there's a hose that comes off the AC, so you can damn near have the hose blowing into a fan. Fan is blowing like at a dog show or some shit. Those who go to dog shows, they didn't know all shit, but some of y'all that don't, you can have the AC hose blowing into a fan. The fan is not pushing that cool ass air off into where your dogs are located. You gotta have long extension cords. When I travel, I'll travel with I got a 75-foot extension cord. And when possible, you try to plug up. You know, you find an outlet you can plug up. That's why when these dog events, I wanted to like the UPCC dog event. I was like, hopefully there's some outlets or something out there where people can recharge batteries and shit like that for cooling purposes. But buying additional batteries, external batteries to run fans off of was a good thing to do. But those are some of the things I do or have. Also, one of the screens I have, because sometimes you run into a situation where it's raining outside, and obviously even with the little mesh, the rain can come through the fucking mesh shit. That's supposed to keep bugs out. They don't keep rain out. So then I have these other screens that go over the side doors, the passenger side doors. I got one for each, and it keeps it has like a little hangover. It keeps the rain and shit out. So they got like this thing that goes like the same shit that they use in tents. It goes in there. It keeps like a little overhang on the window, so it keeps the rain out of the vehicle. But I can still keep the windows all the way down. So once again, I'm still able to get cross flow. I'm still able to get the heat out of the cabin. All right, so I turn the fans on full blast. He's getting fans that's blowing on his ass, and even though he's kind of lower because he's in the Navigator, so to the ceiling is a little high, so all the heat rises anyway. So he's lower, and the fan is blowing on him, and that pushes the heat up and out. And I got one fan that's blowing across, that's blowing the shit out the door, so blowing the heat out the door. So with that type of setup, it works out for me, and I haven't ran into any problems. I haven't ran into problems. So overall, early on in my first when I first started my first road trip, I made a mistake of putting my dogs in the car. I had like a Maltese. I was traveling with a girlfriend. Had a Maltese. Sure enough, was a puppy. He was young, maybe less than 10 months or some shit. He was young in the game. I put him in my Navigator while we were getting the hotel ready because we had the kids, this, that, and the other. So we're getting the hotel ready. So instead of, so I was like, well, let's just put the dogs in the car while we get all the stuff. Everybody's getting their stuff packed up and this, that, and the other. I wanted to get them out the way. But they was barking and shit. Every time somebody was walking by, they was barking and making a bunch of fucking noise. So I was like, let's just put them in the car. And so I rolled the windows down, right? Because it was early in the morning. The sun was barely even coming up. And I was looking at the temperature, and I'm like, shit, man, it's only like, it's low 60s in low 60s in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I'm like, it's not even fucking 70 degrees out. It can't be that warm. But I made the error because I was a rookie. I ain't know no better. I didn't have the shade in the front, the glass, even though the windows were down, but I couldn't put them down too far because I didn't want somebody to steal the dogs, right? Because it's a pretty little white Maltese, and sure enough, he's a puppy. He wasn't like, he still was still little, but he wasn't like, he wasn't grown. He wasn't gonna fuck nothing up. He could just reach in there and just grab his motherfucking ass and unlock the door, and they both would have hopped out and been like, oh shit, okay, I guess it's time for us to go. But so anyways, I had the windows down, but the windows were only down like about that much or something. So when I came out, it was crazy because the police department was only down the street. So the lady in the office must have saw my son put the dogs in the car, and so when she saw that, she probably waited like 5 minutes and then called the cops and shit. So the cops, I'm coming down. I see all these cops and shit by the car. I'm tripping like, damn, what the fuck going on over here? They're like, sir, is this your vehicle? It's like, sir, is this your vehicle? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, we have the dog safely in our vehicle here. You realize that the window temperature of your vehicle was 70 something degrees, like 74. It's 74. I'm like, but it's only like 60 something outside. They're like, yeah, cars, they don't work like that. It was a lady too. She was actually cool. She was cool about it. And then so like I was like, damn, man, I didn't even think about it like that. And at first I was gonna try and like debate it, but then I was like, you know what? Hey, you know, sometimes you gotta take a little, you gotta get a little spanking. You gotta feel that stove is hot before you know, hey, I shouldn't put my hand on that bitch. So at first I was gonna use my parole ID. I was gonna use that, do the whole law enforcement thing, camaraderie type shit. But I was like, nah, I kind of want to feel it because then I'm gonna make my adjustments. You know, sometimes you don't feel something, you won't make necessary adjustments. You just keep doing the same motion. So I wanted to feel it. So in other words, I got a ticket for it was like neglect or some shit for keeping a dog in a, because the glass temperature was over 70. So the law is anything over 70 is a ticket for neglect. So I got the ticket, learned my lesson, and then I ended up spending like thousands and thousands of dollars on figuring out ways to try and keep the dog cool, keep me cool, warm us up when it's hot, when it's cold, cool us off when it's hot. And so that's kind of how you live and you learn and you make these adjustments. But a lot of people don't talk about heating and cooling. A lot of people don't say shit about it. They just kind of people just learn on the go, or you learn when you fuck up. So I'd rather just talk about what I've learned and what I've experienced, what I've heard about, and what I was told about. And hopefully, you know, somebody that listens to this, they hear it, they take the necessary precautions to understand that cars heat up super fast. I know there's a bunch of commercials about it, and they start doing campaigns in the summertime, but I'm telling you firsthand, as a person that slept in vehicles, not because I was homeless, because by choice, cars heat up fast as fuck. And it don't matter what the temperature is outside. You know, if the temperature is 60 something outside, it could definitely get 70 something above inside the vehicle. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're going to dog shows. Keep that in mind if you're traveling with your dog, going to the Walmart or something like that. Do not get yourself jammed up. You're going to get yourself a little ticket. You know, just be smart and think about what you're doing when you do it. And do you have a backup plan for the backup plan if you plan on getting all these dogs? You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got a plan. Make sure, you know, you're meeting codes. Make sure that whatever the city says you can and can't do, make sure you're following that. Because if not, you get smacked upside your head and you get caught with your pants down. Then it gets a little shaky. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the heating of your dog, or cooling of your dog, I should say. Once again, a dog has to have a lot of airflow, and that's not just like one of these little ass rinky-dink stupid fans. You need to have your nice industrial grade type fan that's blowing air. You want it blowing. If it ain't blowing, if it's just like no. You want to feel like that motherfucker, like you know, that motherfucker is blowing. And make sure it's blowing on the dog, and make sure you got to wait for the heat to escape the cabin. All right, don't just rely on. I turn the AC on in my piece of shit vehicle, and the motherfucker blows up, and the dog dies in the heat. So, you know, if you don't have a hybrid vehicle or some shit like that, AC pump or AC system goes down, you know, I wouldn't risk it like that if I didn't have a hybrid. But to each their own. But people have lost dogs due to the shit. So I would keep that. So I would definitely keep that in mind. On that note, have fun during the summertime and protect your dogs from heat. They have to have airflow or cooling, or you might risk the death of your dog. Don't take it from me. Take it from the people who have lost. That's not funny, but take it from the people who got their dogs killed because they dropped the ball, right? As human beings, we're responsible for the dog. So if something happens to the dog, it's not the dog's fault, it's the human's fault. And the human has to be held accountable. Alright, so a lot of air, a lot of flow, windows need to be down. Windows aren't down, you need to have an AC system that actually works. So I would sit your ass in that car, make sure that AC is working. You make sure you got a backup plan, or you get notified if the AC turns off. All these things can be bought and paid for. There's a thing called Waggle, which alerts you to the temperature of your cabin. I'm sure there's some other shit on the market. There's like dog monitoring cameras you can buy. There's all kind of shit you can. I mean, there's not all kinds, but there's a number of things you can do to make sure that you can see inside or know what the temperature is in the cabin of your vehicle. So that's important. So on that note, ciao. It's time to go.